fostering that kind of curiosity characteristic trait in them to progress and push forward, and like I said, matching them up with the people that can help them out with that. It sounds fantastic.
Absolutely, and it's for me, it's about giving them a range of opportunities as well. My particular career, I've moved around in my career quite a lot, from being a professional footballer to a personal trainer to working in education to now working in economic development. So it's not always a straightforward pathway, perhaps, to get where you want to be. So it's very much about trying to give a range of opportunities to young people to try and inspire them to think about the different types of careers and jobs that are available. Yeah,
fantastic. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that can kind of relate to that, with, not really too sure whether they're this job's for them, or finding themselves in a career and wanting more and moving on from that. And one thing that we've discussed in previous consortiums is the fact that the educational system seems to be set on a ladder. It's kind of governed by a strict funnel that you have to know what you want to do when you're older. There's no kind of dabbling in there. And so thank you very much for that. It's kind of introduction, and it sounds like a brilliant thing you do, because that curiosity mindset is incredibly important to foster, and that entrepreneurship kind of career studies is fantastic for the brain. And alongside that is the kind of the social aspect of it. In education, Lucky, how can we get these youngsters out to kind of communicate more in the community, or even how can we help their parents or their caregivers to develop that curiosity mindset and kind of bring them into the community more?
I think for parents as well, it would be, if I talk of my perspective as a Bangladeshi community, it would be educating parents really about their child's needs, and thinking that, understanding really that their child has nothing less, it has more, it has different things to offer.
Yeah.
And also understanding, when we think about education within our community, we always think of like doctors, somebody who wants to be a barrister, but think that actually we can think out of the box, that our children might not be able to achieve, the things that we hope, but there are other careers, other paths that our children can go into, that they really enjoy, that bit more creativity.
Definitely, and I think it's important as well that when you have say a child that the world is telling them that they are less able because of their disabilities, and it's kind of putting a bracket over them that they're not going to achieve what they want. But that's not to say that there isn't something that they can do incredibly well, almost better than other people. And it's again developing that curiosity mindset in their parents and caregivers as well. Yeah. And I think that the social engagement side of things is vitally important for human brains to grow, especially in education. I don't know if you wanted to mention, briefly what Chat Over Chai, can do to help that grow in the community, and just kind of bring people together. It's a beautiful thing, and community is vitally important, especially in education, because we don't want people to go through things alone, do we?
No, that's right. So Chat Over Chai is a diverse community group. So it was originally started by Roshanara, who is part of the Independence and Wellbeing team. So we've been independent since 2019. And it really is, it's to create a space for somebody to go who's experienced social isolation. What we've seen recently, and through my work with, as a parent, we are seeing more parents now who are joining our group with children with autism. They come because they are isolated, and sometimes it's quite nice to be with other parents. And it's also the Mariah group is another group that looks after parents from parents with children from
Yes.
different backgrounds. So, so the work that Chatter for Child are doing, really, we've got the exercise groups. So we've got Pilates and badminton, and they're really good because what we don't realise that mental health is really on the rise. So we forget that parents and children with neurodiverse, have mental health, are experiencing mental health.
Definitely,
So
yeah.
for the parents, we have, really for mothers, we have the exercise groups and the regular Chat Over Child groups where we can create that support group for the mothers.
Brilliant. No, it sounds fantastic. And they say, exercise really is a medication in form. And if you can get children and their parents and caregivers, active, moving around, and then sitting down maybe for a chat and a tea afterwards, it sounds fantastic.
Yes. And when we have like parties or celebrations, we do say children are welcome as well, because we feel that, children need to be accepted, families need to be accepted and integrated.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I think it's, you mentioned the culture side of things as well, because it's a very English thing to kind of be by yourself, be on your own, and not to mix so much. You don't really mix too much with your neighbours unless you have that mindset, where you want to go out. But people who are struggling, that they don't normally want other people to know that they're struggling. We're quite a proud country, and we don't want to show our weaknesses to others. Whereas in different cultural backgrounds, that community and that massive family is really important. And going back to kind of the educational side of things, Olufolake, I wondered if you might be able to kind of give us an idea about what the HIVE can do for youngsters in education. What I see is only the tip of the iceberg. I tend to find people, or people find me, that they're kind of the outgoing, high energy, bubbly people that have that drive and that push, and then underneath that iceberg you see the people that are socially isolated, the ones that do struggle in their everyday life, and it's heartbreaking for them to be lost in an educational system without the correct support. And I think we all need to get together to really bring that support in right at the very start of their journey. I just wondered if you could give us a bit of experience and of your experience and background into the HIVE. It'd be fantastic.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for having me. So my role in the HIVE as a neurodiversity coordinator means that I work on a project called Neurodiversity in Schools project. And that's to change the whole culture, and how children and young people with neurodiverse needs are supported from a diagnosis-led to a more needs-led approach. What we found in the past is that, yes, diagnosis is good and it gets support for a lot of our children, but for some, it doesn't mean much. There's really no support, and there's like a blanket approach. So a child that is diagnosed with autism, there's almost like a blanket way of supporting rather than a tailor-made support, because as we all know, every single child or young person with autism is absolutely different. No two are ever the same.
No, what works for one, might not work for the other. That's it. Diverse brains are
absolutely
very different.
Very different. So that's why, as part of the project, the Neurodiversity Profiling Toolkit was created, which assesses a child based on 9 different areas: sensory, adaptability, motor skills, energy levels, 9 different areas, and puts in the support for whichever area the child needs the support in.
Fantastic.
So rather than looking at the whole child as an autistic child or a neurodivergent child and given the same support to all of them, each child is kind of assessed individually, and support is put in individually.
Yeah, fantastic. So it's about not looking at things in a linear fashion, So the school systems, how they're set up, like you said, the diagnosis is important for them to implement the methods that they would use to support our children. And you know, as everyone knows, neurodiversity is not the same. You know, if you study one autistic child, you've studied one autistic child. You know, and it's same with mental health. No one you know portrays depression or anxiety in the same way, and it doesn't affect people in the same way. So coming from that linear view to kind of look at things in a more multifaceted way is really brilliant. So thank you very much for that. Would you say that the approaches by the schools so far, that we are progressing, you know, obviously the world is progressing rapidly, but are they following suit? Are the schools in the Portsmouth area kind of, you know, listening up and working with you guys?
Yes, a lot of the schools have taken on the project, and we've seen a big change in the way children are supported. Some schools are still a little bit behind, which is expected. It's a journey that we're all on, and hopefully everyone will catch on. But for the schools who are fully engaged, there's been a really big change in the way children and young people are supported. Definitely.
Fantastic. And I imagine some return in productivity with that.
Absolutely.
And children wanting to go to school
Yeah,
a bit more.
a lot of that, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Dr. Shah, back to James. So the social skills enterprise. We're still on the topic of education. So what's the age range of the kind of individuals that you support?
So we work from sort of 12 years to 18-year-olds, so secondary school through to college. We've actually just been awarded a new contract to actually work in Portsmouth and on the Isle of Wight in primary schools.
Fantastic.
Which is a really interesting pilot project about how we go into primary and start to inspire the young people at primary school age about the types of careers and jobs that are available as well.
Yeah, and how does the selection process kind of work? You know, talk me through the kind of the first steps as you go into a school to after the inspiration for them to really get involved with what they want to do. So say if you had a budgeting tech star, he wanted to implement that into his school lessons. Is there anything that you...
Advisor. So our role is more to kind of work with those people who then will take that information and that support back into their establishment, and they will be doing that doing piece.
Yeah, fantastic.
But just one recent example, we currently run a small project to work or sort of inspire our young people around digital skills and tech skills. So we did what we called a series of immersive days, whereby we worked with the schools and took groups of young people into businesses and industry. So in Portsmouth, we took a school into BAE. Over in Southampton, we took a school into Balfour Beatty.
Yeah.
And the business put on a series of workshops and sort of taster sessions around the business linked to digital and tech in terms of what they do around digital and tech. And then we actually ran what's called a hackathon at Fareham College. So we essentially brought all these young people together, presented them with some, we worked with Microsoft and Viasat around some of the augmented reality. They brought some really cool goggles in and again, getting them young people excited.
Yes.
And then the hackathon was very much about presenting some challenge, yet they're sort of imaginary challenges as such, but trying to make them as real as possible. So we used the NHS as an example to some of the challenges, and then the young people came up with technology solutions that could be implemented in the NHS.
Yeah, fantastic. So again, it's that developing that curiosity mindset and really instilling that spark in the younger side of the individuals to really think about their careers for the future. And the way that the technology is kind of developing, there's going to be a lot more jobs out there for these individuals when when they come of age and they start looking into their possible careers, which is brilliant. And and again, a diverse kind of range of experiences for them, which is fantastic. Now, the networking side of things is brilliant, because we all know once you're in a job, you're kind of in that job, and it's difficult to get out there and meet other people. And especially the careers advisor position, it's a difficult position when you've got such a diverse range of minds to kind of look at. And if you're out there networking and you can kind of attach your links to them and point them in the right direction of where they go, it's a really, really empowering thing to do. So it's brilliant. Oh, we have some questions. Yeah, sure. I mean, if we have any questions for the panel from the online community, any questions from the audience? Yeah. Yes. Yeah, fantastic. So we open up to the chat for some questions, then we'll pass it back over to our panel for some words. And yeah. And no questions. Yeah, James, we would love to hear your prepared speech.
I haven't prepared a speech at all, so I apologise.
It's fantastic. No, that's it's what we like to hear. Just wing it.
My personal experience, although I've got a 11-year-old daughter, she isn't autistic, but she has a rare genetic syndrome, which I've had to write down because it's a real mouthful, but it's oculofaciocardio dental syndrome. So it's a really rare genetic syndrome, and she has both physical and mental challenges that she has to overcome, I suppose, and some of that does impact on her education. It certainly impacts on her social interaction, whether that be with her